Let's discuss Panchayati Raj system, panchayats before and after the 73rd Amendment. Before we get into the lesson, I want to imagine a place, a school perhaps, your school, where the principal is doing all the work. Your principal is managing the administration, he's teaching in the classes, he's doing all the work of the clerk as well, managing all the data, information, and everything. Is it possible to run a school like that? No, it's not possible. One person cannot do all the things at the same time. So, what is required in such cases? The power has to be distributed. The principal who has many duties and responsibilities, he will disperse it, he will distribute it. To who? To people who are below him. Like, he will tell the teachers to teach, he will tell the management to do the management things, etc. Therefore, it helps in the balanced working. What the teacher will further do is the teacher will assign monitors in the class. So what will the monitors do? The monitors will be able to come up with the problems of students and tell it to the teachers. So it becomes very easy because a principal cannot talk to each and every child in the school. A teacher cannot do the same. Therefore, to ease this management, different levels of management are created and powers are given to them according to their role and responsibility. Now, same is the case with panchayats. In our administrative system, it is not possible to reach the grassroots levels by the people who are at the top levels of administration. Our prime minister or our president, they cannot know the real problems at the grassroots levels, that is the villages, if no representative or no people in power are present there. Therefore, it was suggested to create panchayats. So panchayats existed in the 1950s as well. In 1957, Balwant Rai Mehta Committee, they called for empowering the panchayats and giving them decentralization powers, power to the local government to administer the local government, and they also suggested to make a three-tier structure where the representatives were elected by the villagers only. Okay. So the first Panchayati Raj institution was launched in Nagaur in Rajasthan, but it failed back then. Why did it fail? It failed due to many reasons, like just imagine India in the 1950s. Can we compare the people living in the 1950s to the people that we are today living in 2020? The literacy level was very low. They were very illiterate, uneducated. They did not have any knowledge about politics. But in today's scenario, we know our rights, we are aware, we are educated. So this scenario is extremely different. There's a huge contrast. Because of these reasons, the Panchayati Raj institution failed, and it was studied by Sadiq Ali committee that why did it fail. So, to make the reforms, to overcome the hurdles that were creating problems in establishing the Panchayati Raj institutions, in 1978, the Ashok Mehta Committee gave many recommendations. Okay, so the recommendations was changing the three-tier structure to a two-tier structure, reservation, the concept of reservation, like reserving seats in the panchayats to create more and more representation of the backward classes, of women, etc. So there were 132 recommendations, and on the basis of that, the Panchayati Raj institutions were further established. So why Panchayati Raj institutions? Like I just told you, decentralization of power, yes, representative, yes, but what else? To understand the very problem that lies in the villages. We living in cities, can we imagine what the people living in villages go through every day? When we get electricity at the click of a button, we get everything at a click of a button actually. Online products, say groceries, shopping, everything. So it is very difficult for us to imagine what is going on in the villages. So to understand the true picture, Panchayati Raj institutions are very important to give them a basic understanding of politics, to improve their understanding, and to increase the representation of people in the villages. Now, this also helps in self government of the people. The things that happen in the villages, they are quite different from what happens in the cities, so they might as well need local administration, local self government, and the people who they can trust. They will not trust me if I go to a village. They will think I don't know any better, so they will obviously elect people among themselves, and that calls for real decentralization of power, when the power is coming from the prime minister to the union ministers, state governments, and then when it reaches to the local level of government, to villages, it shows our true democracy, where everybody is a participant. So, what happened after the 73rd Constitutional Amendment, which happened in 1992? The Constitutional Amendment said states shall organize and empower panchayats to work as efficient units of local self government. This was stated in Article 40. So, this called for participatory democracy, where the people's voices, their true problems, they could be heard at the Gram Sabha or the General Assembly. So, they meet 4 times in a year, that is on Labor Day, Gandhi Jayanti, Independence Day, and Republic Day. The 73rd Amendment was brought about by P.V. Narasimha Rao, and Panchayati Raj institutions were included in the 11th schedule of the Constitution, with articles from 243 to 243O. Now you can look at the basic structure of the Panchayat on the slide. Apart from the Zilla Parishad, Panchayat Samiti, and the Gram Panchayat, there is also a Gram Sabha or the General Assembly, and the Sarpanch is the ex officio member of the Gram Sabha. Now, what is the role of panchayats? So, panchayats' role varies and it has various responsibilities like tax collection. The state government gives grants to the panchayats for the development of villages. Now, this development can be economical, political, social, rural. So, it is a very wide area of development, and the panchayats help in the development of rural areas. Now, coming to the achievements, have the panchayats really made a difference in the villages? Have the villagers become the part of the mainstream population of India? So, yes, the answer is yes. And we look at the achievements one by one. I just told you that there was a recommendation of reservation. So, the reservation of seats in the panchayats are given to women and also the backward classes. So, how did it help? It helped in empowerment, giving them confidence, a boost in their personality, a feeling of inclusiveness, that yes, I am also a part of this institution. I also matter. So they were represented. And when you are confident, when you think your voice is heard, you feel empowered. So the villagers started feeling empowered. And they started giving their contribution, which is not limited to only farming but also different kinds of skills and cottage industries, etc., which helped in inclusive growth, that is sabka saath and sabka vikas, if you have heard of this scheme by the union government of India. So inclusive growth cannot be done when the villagers are not included, right? So this helped in the inclusive growth. Rural manufacturing hubs are created, and with this, the villagers were given more and more awareness with campaigns, with media, and the education level also increased. They do not rely so much on the say cities or towns, but they are now self sufficient because many things are now available in the villages as well. The infrastructure and development is very much visible. Now let us discuss some questions. Question number 1 is, which committee recommended the 3-tier systems for Panchayati Raj? The answer will be Balwant Rai Mehta Committee. It is not Ashok Mehta Committee. Please remember, Ashok Mehta Committee suggested 2-tier system. Moving ahead, what was the main purpose behind bringing Panchayati Raj system in India? The main purpose was decentralization of the political power to the general people. Question number 3. Which statement is not correct regarding Gram Sabha? The answer is C. Its powers have been determined by the central government. So, no, its powers are determined by the state legislature. Please remember this. I hope you were able to understand this lesson. Thank you for watching.